You a cigar smoker? Great news for you, thehumidor.com. You got to go to this website. They are a big supporter of the Shoot to Grill podcast. Free shipping on every order, every day. Cigar bundles, samplers, and boxes, guaranteed freshness. Huge selection of cigars, handpicked by certified tobacconists. That's an awesome word. Great prices, the best in the business, thehumidor.com. And a big thanks for sponsoring the Shoot to Grill podcast.
Shoot to grill, aim to chill. Too many cold ones, I need an Advil, yeah. Shoot to grill, I can't kill. So don't bring me nothing that's got chlorophyll, yeah.
Hey, and welcome to the Shoot to Grill podcast. My name is Jason Bailey, doing it as always here at the Atlantic Grill Company in beautiful Roswell, Georgia. And once again, we have an amazing guest. We've got Kyle Sanders from the band HELLYEAH is sitting in with our master chef, Rashid from Phillips Barbecue Company. Rashid, you got your leather on.
I like that, yeah.
You're ready to rock and roll.
Take it serious.
We've got specific food instructions from Kyle, and I said, Kyle, are you okay with chicken? And you're cool with that?
I'm cool with it.
All right.
I own. Yeah. Oh yeah. I make hot sauce. I own chickens. I eat chickens. Everything. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So what kind of chicken are you gonna do?
So, because you dig heat, I was kind of like, let me take a little gamble here.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a nice local company that grow their own peppers. They ferment them. It's called Pulpalicious, and I'm going to make a nice little spicy mojo grilled chicken for you.
Absolutely. I'm very familiar with the product, too.
Yo,
yeah,
really?
I got some in my fridge right now. Yes,
what's your favorite?
Well, I have like the little four, they're in dropper bottles, right?
Okay, yeah,
so it's the four sampler. One's the habanero, one's a wax pepper.
The Hungarian wax.
Hungarian wax.
I love Hungarian wax.
And then the red, what kind of pepper is that? Not Fresno?
We got the California chili. I'm actually doing the Poblano Serrano mixture today with a little bit of our carrot habanero in there too.
That's
Beautiful.
me, sorry.
I dig that you dig it. That's
Awesome,
perfect.
man, yeah.
Now, what you're doing it on the Kamado Joe, which
Yes,
we
sir.
cook, I think, everything so far on the Shoot to Grill podcast. So what temperature and the grate wise? Because I want to make sure that, and before we start talking to Kyle, make sure that you're watching or listening when you're cooking this chicken and you see the end result when we're all said and done, you know what temperature, because that's what I struggle with at the house, always struggling with the temperature, burning stuff left and right, wasting food. So help us not waste food.
I'm all about that. I love cooking on the KJ in two zones. I love my sear and my grill side. This time I got it going up at 400, but I used the double bath with the plates instead of putting both out on each side, stacking it on each other to really reduce that heat. It's chicken, and it's chicken thighs, so it stays juicy.
Yep.
Thighs are very forgiving, but I don't want to overcook them. I still want you to take a bite and they're nice and juicy on the inside.
Temp-wise, what'd you say?
Temp-wise, we're going to go about 400 today.
Okay, for about 10, 15 minutes?
10, 15, watching it the whole time because it is thighs, you do have that fat in there, and that can drip down, get you some nice flare-ups, but can also cause you to...
So you're not using the deflector?
I'm using the deflector on one side, but I got a double stack.
Okay, cool. Because we're trying to sell Kyle.
I'm close to buying today.
He went inside, he goes, I thought it was a restaurant. I was like,
oh, it is, it's out here.
Yeah. A lot of people think that.
Everyone's there.
And he goes, man, I might need to go home with one of these things. So
This is dangerous.
You can do some chicken on it. We've done everything. You just did a pizza, which
That's what we talked about,
looked real good.
Yeah, well, especially when you got the kids at the house. That's what Kyle and I were talking about before we went on, is that, dude, kids, I don't care what age you are, well, maybe up to late teens, but that pizza night, make your own pizza, I mean, how old are your kids?
They're 10, 12, and 22.
Okay, so the 22 might not want it, but the 10 and 12 that make your own pizza night.
All about it.
22 is going to Fellini's.
Exactly. Working there, eating there. Yeah.
So you can do that. I did that just recently, and for my first time, it was amazing.
It looked like it turned out real well.
Really good.
I saw some guy over there try to give you some crap. Like, why you got it on the plate? I was like, he knows what he's doing. It's the first time. 10 and 10. It's the obvious.
Yes, thank you very much.
Like it's obvious. Obviously, you don't cook a lot, sir. You order Domino's.
right.
You got to stick up for me on the social media.
Cool.
All right,
I got you, bro.
Sheed, go to the grill, get us that chicken. We appreciate you as always, my friend. Kyle, this is going to be the best chicken you've ever had.
I believe it.
Sheed is amazing, an amazing cook. He's also got his own spices, but we put all the recipes, if you're not following along on the podcast, on the shoottogrillpodcast.com website and Sheed's phillipsbarbecueco.com. So let's talk about you. Let's talk about some music.
All right.
So Hell Yeah, the band, which is arguably a supergroup.
Yeah, and you know, we hate that name, but then someone asked me, my wife asked me, she's like, well, what's the definition of supergroup? I was like, oh, I guess it's, you know, dudes from bigger bands and they come together to make a band. I was like, she's like, well, there you go.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, so we kind of are tired of it just because we don't want to think of it that way, but, you know, whatever.
Right. Well, everybody.
The band's been around for a long time, so we're kind of like when it started out, it was like that, but now we're kind of past thinking that way, but still, that's.
And everybody in the band has, you know, obviously, like, you know, most jobs, you were there somewhere before.
Yep.
Chad, of course, the lead singer in Mudvayne, back in the Mudvayne days. You were in numerous bands before, you know, and then now you guys have Roy from Stone Sour, new drummer, who, from what I understand, you knew prior as well.
We played in a band together back in 2002 called Medication, so we have quite the history,
Were you part of the recruiting?
Of getting Roy? It just worked out, you know, the timing of everything worked out with him being in Stone Sour and Slipknot just about to drop a record. Like, they're going out for 2 years minimum. So Roy's got some time, you know, so it just worked out that he was available, he was into doing it, and being the brotherhood of us and Roy and the friendship that Vinnie and Roy had together, the mutual like respect. And
so they knew each other.
Yes, we wouldn't have done it any other way. We weren't just going to get someone to do this. It had to be someone who he respected and who Vinnie really like gave the thumbs up, stamp of approval. And they have a history as well, so that's why it was a long, hard process to figure out if we were going to move on, and if we were, who was going to, you know, not replace but fill the shoes for this cycle.
Yeah, and you know, when artists pass like Vinnie did, you know, he's not a guy. I had the honor of meeting both him and Dimebag years ago in the Damage Plan days, and you know, the utmost respect for both of those guys and what they did for the music. But you know, some bands you can move on maybe sooner than later, but how much time and how much collaboration with the guys in Hell Yeah did you guys take to say, yeah, we're going to replace Vinnie, but it has to be one of a certain amount of people. You know, there's only a certain person that could replace
Well,
him.
it was a long, hard, brutal conversation, and the fact that like all this happened while we were in the studio, but Vinnie's tracks were finished. So that would have been a game changer. It wouldn't have even been a question of if we were going to move on. Like if his tracks weren't done, we're not going to get someone else to come in and finish playing on the record. You know, we just couldn't. So his tracks were done. It's his last piece of recorded music, you know, so we, you know, took some time to figure everything out and fall apart and regroup, and then went back in and finished the record musically and then vocally, and then took some more time and realized, well, we can't just put it out there and let it sit and not represent it. Vinnie would kick our ass, you know. He would not be happy with. That's always
in your mind.
Exactly. Well, what you got to think. It's cliche, but like, well, what do you think he would want you to do? What's exactly the way we had to go about it? So we knew what he would want us to do and to support this record.
And the original target date was in June.
June.
Now it's September.
And now it got pushed September 27th. Yep.
Okay. Now let me ask you this, because I know bands do it differently as far as how they lay the tracks down.
Yep.
So in this case, like you just said, so Vinnie's drum tracks were already down.
Yep.
So layer it for me. Drum first?
It was drum. It's kind of drum, bass, and then like the basic guitar tracks. None of the bells and whistles and effects and solos and intros and, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's all like this, the meat and potatoes of it.
Yeah.
So all that was finished. Then a lot of vocals weren't done. A lot of things get rearranged because singers, you know, they're like, oh, this needs to be longer, shorter, cut it,
Lyrics
chop
not
it.
done either.
2 songs of the lyrics were done. 2 and working on the 3rd at the point where he passed. Okay. And we had like 12 musical tracks done, basically done, you know, at least the music bed of it. So I had a little bit to do, just some little tweaks, and as far as bass went, and then most of the guitar tracks were done except for the solos and, you know, intro kind of stuff. And then, so that's how it was. It was the music, you know, the bass, drums, and guitar was was finished.
But the lyrics for all these tracks were done prior to Vinnie passing? Two, okay.
2 of the 12.
Okay, so now here's where I'm getting at, is that afterwards, not only those songs, but the lyrics afterwards took a whole new meaning as far as the album too.
Completely.
Okay.
Everything
That's
did.
what I was getting at.
Right,
yeah.
everything did, yeah, because the songs were there. Chad was kind of falling behind, or for whatever, just it takes him longer because he writes 1,000 words and it's got to be scaled down, and it's a serious process. So at the point where we took a break, we have 12, 13 songs, and Chad's got his second song done. So we're gonna take a break. We all kind of went home to give Chad some time to catch up, and then we went home, and the next day the phone started blowing up, and that's when all this happened. So yeah, Chad had 10 songs to go back in, and we finally went back in to write. So it changed everything.
Well, if you listen to like 333,
Yep.
333,
Yep.
and Welcome Home, especially the end of Welcome Home.
Yep.
Do I hear Vinnie's voice at the end?
You hear Vinnie's voice at the very end of the record.
At the end of the
not
record?
in the song.
Yeah, at the end of the record.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll get back to that in a
Yep.
second. So 333, 333,
Yep.
however you're supposed to say it, but explain the meaning behind that. I think I know, but I want to make sure, I don't want to sound too stupid.
Right. Well, it was more of first it was a dime thing, that was just the number, and that number really rings a bell, me included, for different reasons in their past. Like, I grew up with that number, and it was just me. I never said anything about it. This is probably the first time I've actually revealed this. That number always came up. My first address when I moved out was 333.
Really?
Look at the clock all the time. Like, one of my zip codes, the last 4 digits of my zip code now are 3s. Like, it was just part of my life, And then coming into this situation where it was a dime thing forever and ever, and then when he passed, then 3s came up everywhere, within like the Abbott's camp, whatever band or whoever he was involved with. So you'd be in Terminal 3, it'd be Gate 33, it'd be Seat 33, and 3s, either 333 or 333. And it carried on, and the more when I got into Hell Yeah, I realized, like, wow, this is a real thing, it's whatever the meaning is to you and anyone else, it's a real thing. And the song on the record was actually the last thing we did. We thought the record was finished. Kevin Churka, our producer was looping one part of a song. That's what he does. He loops something, then he works on it. And Vinnie heard it. He's like, hang on a minute. Loop that again and change this. And they made a song out of that loop. And it was the last thing that's his song. We're all playing on it, but that's his song that he and Kevin put together on the spot when we were about to just walk out, thinking we got the songs, and put it together. So and then Chad's like, well, this is obviously a 333 song. That's whatever it is. This is what the songs. That's Vinnie's songs. It's last song.
That is like the most amazing story about it.
Insane,
now,
yep.
I've got a little intel, and you and I share a mutual friend. The story where you guys are rehearsing for the tribute.
Vegas show.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the 333. You guys, after you're done rehearsing, you look at.
Oh, you did have some intel. We ran through.
I just said, it fascinates me. I'm such a fan, and and I think people watching, obviously Hell Yeah fans, not just chicken fans, but Hell Yeah fans, they want to know. I mean, Vinnie, and I don't want to keep harping on Vinnie, but he and Dime were just. When it comes to heavy metal, you cannot have a conversation longer than 5 minutes without bringing up Dime. Vinnie, Pantera, it comes around. And now, this day and age, there's not much out there. I could probably maybe 5 to 10, and no offense to other bands, but that are as mainstream and heavy metal as Hell Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with that supergroup thing when you guys started. You talk about and then having Vinnie in the band as well. But the Vegas thing and then the 333. So tell that story.
It was the first time with Roy, coming in. So we were we usually don't rent out big rehearsal spaces and do it in a like a production kind of like a stage setup. We usually just rehearse. I'll tell you, to be honest with you, we've rehearsed before tours in Vinnie's bedroom in Vegas at his house and in his living room in Dallas. This is how we've done it. It's always old school and just DIY, set up and go. But this time we're like, we got to do this for real because it's not just like clockwork. It's all different.
Yeah.
So we got a real rehearsal spot. and ran through it. And then once the end of the week, it's like, all right, let's run through the set one last time because tomorrow's the day. We got to suck it up. We got to, we got to make this happen. Ran through the set and then looked at the clock because people were timing it for our set times and this. And then boom, it was 3:33. Last note of the last song.
Hey, give us 30 seconds so we can thank some good people for making this happen. Live rebelliously, drink responsibly with Bedlam Vodka. I tell you, they are the best at what they do. I am in love with Bedlam Vodka. Goes down smooth, has consistency. Demand your Bedlam Vodka, and we appreciate Bedlam Vodka for sponsoring the Shoot to Grill podcast. BedlamVodka.com. See, that wasn't bad. Now back to the Shoot to Grill podcast.
So half of us were like, yeah, that's about right. And the other half, the people that were new crew to the camp, and then Roy's is like, damn. Yeah. Like I said, it's a real thing, man. It's not just.
I do. Look, I buy into that hook, line, and sinker, man. I really do. And at the end of the album, when you hear Vinnie, is that the video that was taken at Luke and Jamie's wedding?
Yep.
Jamie is our mutual friend, and
correct.
Luke is their merch guy.
Yep.
And they're happily married right now, and which is awesome. But at their wedding, there was a video taken of Vinnie and his girlfriend, and that, I guess, was so powerful to everybody that it's also on his
It ended up being, we took that, first of all, we passed it all around. Like when we were all crying and feeling bad, we'd just send it around and you just got to start laughing because that laugh of his is just so infectious, like I can hear it in my head all the time. Yeah. And then we saved it. It was like, let's put this, this has got to go on the record somewhere. So it made it onto there, which is not out so nobody knows, but now you do. And then it's on his headstone, it's on his massive plaque, it's just crazy. But that's his quote, that's his, sums up his life, just talking about good times and what it is.
Bad is bad and good is good.
Bad times are bad times, but it's like it's what you make of it.
Just so chill and relax.
Yeah, that's great.
This, a lot of mainstream success with HELLYEAH, as far as when I say mainstream, I mean like radio play, and that's good to grab new fans, as the music industry changes. This album, do you think that'll have the same effect as some of the songs off prior albums?
I think it will have so much of a different effect. Like this album has a lot of attention on it, just because even fans that weren't really fans, but they know about it, it just draws people to it to see, if you're late to the game or you don't know anything about the band, but you know what happened to Vinnie, but you never even listened to HELLYEAH because you're like, it's Pantera or nothing, or other people that aren't even into, you touch so many different styles of people and music and life. It's going to be interesting how this record is received and, what it's going to do. It's hard to say, but it's pretty interesting, and it's going to be a cool thing just to see the reaction that people will get. And now they can go backtrack for 5 records to see how this band started and the changes they went through. Because in the beginning it was like an experiment. They all came from heavier bands like Mudvayne and Pantera and Nothing Face. Let's do some songs that we couldn't have done in those bands. So they still like good time rock, kind of beer drinking party songs. Did one record that way just to do it because they could never do it before.
Well, you can claim HELLYEAH is a band that is definitely a look, it's a party band with an edge.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else out there like it.
Right. And then you can see as the band progressed, it kind of took a turn on the Band of Brothers record, and then it started getting heavier and heavier. Then everyone got back to their roots of where we all kind of grew up. We were all metal fans, Kiss and Slayer, Metallica, Maiden, all that stuff.
Were your bands prior to HELLYEAH just as hard?
If not heavier, yeah. I was in a band, Blood Simple, which is how I really hooked up with HELLYEAH because Chad signed us to his label and then took us out with Mudvayne. So we did a few Mudvayne tours, and then that's right when HELLYEAH was starting. So Blood Simple did the very first HELLYEAH tour, with the first time that Vinnie got back on stage after his brother. So that was a huge moment for me. It's like, wow, I'm doing Vinnie's first tour, opening up for them. So had a long history with those guys before I was even in the band.
How do you leave the band and move on to another, especially if it's a better opportunity?
I've never done that. I've been, for better or worse, I'm in it till the end, I'm just sink my teeth into it, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not, I've never not hired gun and just jump from band to band like I was doing. This is a better gig, Right. But sometimes that might be the right thing to do if something's not going anywhere and then something is going somewhere. But I've always just kind of stuck to my guns and just ran it into the ground or whatever. And right about that time, when HELLYEAH called, I was in another band called Monstro, which William Duvall, who we were talking about, Alice in Chains, produced that record.
Really?
In Atlanta, yeah. So
okay.
all Atlanta people.
Very cool.
And we did a record and did a tour, did a few tours. We toured with Alice in Chains and did some other cool stuff. And then the band is kind of we never really broke up, but everyone started doing other things, you know, because life happens and you start just whatever, losing focus. And then that's when that happened, and they called me, and it wasn't like a audition kind of deal. It was like, you know, you've been with us for a long time. We know it's a perfect fit. You know, what do you think? It's like, all right, yeah, let's do it.
You want the gig?
Yeah, so it was just, do you want it? Yes. All right, let's go. And then
because you all see it, you know, like if you've seen the Metallica documentary, you know, Some Kind of Monster, you see when they hire Rob.
Oh yeah.
They, you know, they're auditioning everybody, and they bring them in, and forget who all they were brought in, and then they're like,
a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, they sit Rob down, and they're going, we're going to give you we want you to join the band, and we're giving you $1 million.
Right, yeah.
You can be in Metallica.
Right. It's just like that, but different for me.
They're like, you know what? We're going to pay you $15 an hour, and we're going to see if this thing works.
And you're going to work 90 hours a week, and we're going to play 8 days a week. You in? Yes, I'm in.
Do you guys, or any bands, for example, I mean, because you've been in the business for so long, and you've been with different bands, and know a lot of these guys. Do the bands have an end game? I mean, do they say, all right, musically we're here, financially, business-wise we're here, this is where we want to be, so musically we have to get there?
Right. I think it's probably different for everybody if you're looking for that, you know, that big paycheck in the end or whatever. Like that's why I was sold on Hell Yeah to join in, because everybody's doing it for the same reason, because everybody just loves playing. You know, Vinnie didn't need the money. He didn't have, you know, he could have done whatever he wanted to, but him doing what he did and some of the stuff that we went through with bus breaking down and, you know, having to rent minivans to get to the next show.
I heard he
totally
funded a lot of
school.
stuff like that.
He did it and drove. It's like
he
to
didn't
make
have
it
funded.
happen.
He did it because he was like, hey.
It's like, what else are we going to do?
Yeah,
you know,
let's
go
do
home?
this.
No.
Yeah, that's
so,
awesome.
And everybody has been through the game and had different levels of success, but was still doing it. And we've played massive, you know, just ungodly gigs, and then hole in the walls in the middle of, you know, Spain or something.
Yeah.
And never any pissing and moaning about it. Just like, you know, this isn't the best situation tonight, but tomorrow night's going to be better, and just do it and play and have fun with it. So that's why I knew I was in the right camp.
How much say does your family have in all this? Because outside of being on stage and being a different guy, when you're, you know, a rock star on stage, you still have to come home and, you know, answer to the wife, happy life, happy wife.
Right. Well, it's
happy wife, happy life, I should say.
Well, it's all about the balance, you know, because like when I come home, I try and do everything, you know, cook everything, clean everything I can do, I do, because I know once I'm gone, she has to do everything, you know, and it's gotta be give and take, and it's all about balance, you know, whether it's, you know, just about life in general, like how you're going to do it. That's why a lot of people screw their lives up, because they go out and have a blast and go on tour and think everything's, you know, done for you, and then you go home and you keep living that way and you realize, oh, life isn't like that back at home, and then your family falls apart, and then your life falls apart, and then you take wrong turns in life or whatever.
So you realize that someday this could go away.
I know that all the time. And like it happened with Vinnie, didn't see that coming, you know. That could have been the end, and we still don't know what's going to happen. And we're about to go on tour. We could all just fall apart, you know, because Vinnie's not with us anymore. But so yeah, we treat it just the way Vinnie lived. Like he lived that way every day. He's like, I might not be alive tomorrow, so he lived his life that way, you know, and learned a lot. Not stressed, like, you know, not sweating the small stuff. It's what he always said, and it's true, you know. It's absolutely true. Cause
that's powerful, man.
Yeah.
Do your kids realize what you do? I
mean,
they're
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do they think of it?
They're both
They're 10 and 12
10
and 22.
12 and 22. Yeah, my daughter's singing, you know, getting her singing career going, and both the little ones are in, or little 10 and 12, but they're in sports, but they're also playing bass, drums, guitar, and just letting them figure out, you know, I'm not pushing them into anything, but they see how cool it is, and they'll come on tour some or come out to a few shows, and they get it, and they know what I'm about to leave, which is about to happen, and it sucks. And it's like, I'm going to be gone, you know, and just things are different. When you take one family member out of the situation, the whole household, like the whole chemistry changes, you know. Then everyone's like against mom, you know, because
do you have a routine where you check in at a certain time every day?
It's different. Like FaceTime helps,
you
know, but it also hurts because you're like, it just makes you fall apart when you're in some whatever, you know, just middle of a long tour in a hotel. And then seeing your home, like, I miss that place so bad.
Are your kids FaceTiming their friends when they're sitting across from them yet? My daughter, who's 14, does that. She'll have her friend at the table they'll FaceTime each other,
Oh,
and I don't
man.
get it.
Just getting used to that. Just like the whole new generation. The total old man, like, fuck that way back in my day, we didn't have that.
Back in my day.
It's the truth, though, man. Everything repeats, and it's happening right now, you know?
I know, that's funny. It's got to be tough. You go out on the road for a long stretch.
It is extremely.
But they have to be supportive, right?
Right, and they are. And if they weren't, then the family wouldn't work, you know?
You ever thought about what you'd be doing if you weren't in a rock band?
I think about it. I don't like that thought.
What else are you good at?
I'm good at running a music school, which is that's why I started that. I was like, all right, it's still music
you're a good
related.
teacher.
So yeah, I can teach, like manage, you know, like in bands in the past, I've always like been the tour manager guy. When you don't have any money to pay a crew, like someone has to take the reins and make things happen. I always did that. So I can run a business.
And college music school, they was just talking about Let There Be Rock shirt right there. It's in Gainesville, right?
It's in Gainesville, yep.
Yeah, Gainesville, Georgia.
Yep, Georgia.
And people from all over can come and do come.
Yep, they do, yep.
And how does, a lot of these schools are popping up, but not every school is run by, it's like a guy that's got credibility. So
Right.
how does it work?
It's, it's more than just your average music lesson place where you come in, take your lesson and leave. Like, it's more of a rock and roll community center. And it's open. Like, people that are involved in the school, once you're the student, then the school is yours. Like, you have access to every instrument. Of course, you come in and do your lessons, but if, there's a hangout room, like, it's like a community center. You can meet other people that, because when I was teenage years, I was like, there's nobody like me out there. Everyone's like really into sports or really into this or that. But this is a place where people can come together and meet each other and realize that you're not the only one that's a weirdo or whatever, And they're also putting bands together with people that are on the same page, talent-wise and chemistry-wise,
Cool.
of all ages. Like tomorrow, we got a band practice. It's like 8 and 10-year-olds, and there's like a 14, 15-year-old band. And there's an adult program too. Like there's 40, 50-year-old dudes that are in there playing guitar that kind of used to play and gave it up because they started working, their life happened, and whatever.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. It's like all ranges of ages and types of people and styles
Kind of
of
like
music.
the minor leagues for rock stars.
Basically, exactly. And it's like rock based, but I'm not shoving metal down your throat, although that's all I'm playing and that's what's all over the walls, But if you're, just trying to bring them up on like the classics, things that I was into and then what those people were into, and then you start, digging back, and makes you think and wonder, well, what made them like, whatever,
Do you have any prodigies?
There's definitely some. Like we're new. I just opened. St. Patrick's Day was the grand opening.
Okay.
So it's a few months, and like I said, there's all age range, but there's some that they're just going to be way better than me,
Yeah.
And
They don't know it, though.
they don't know it, and they're fortunate to have this outlet to use that and learn how to join a band, learn how to be in a band, not just learn how to play in your room. That's where all these amazing kids are playing on YouTube, but you take them outside of their bedroom and put them in a band situation, they don't know how to act, and you can't interact and work together. So that's more what the school is about, is giving them lessons, bringing the best out of them, but then putting them in a band situation to show you how it works and to show you what not to do. Because, I've been through it all, made all mistakes, and see the signs of someone who's screwing up and is going to sink the ship, like those are the things you got to look for, and like get rid of that guy, or you get rid of that band and go find something else so you don't waste a lot of your life and time.
So if people want more information, go to...
It's letthereberockga.com, and it's, Facebook and Instagram and everything you
We'll put
possibly
it all
think
up
of.
on
And
our
it's
social
all
media,
over
too.
the place,
I'm assuming that, not only because you like teaching and stuff, but I'm assuming that when you were younger and maybe picked up your first bass, you kind of were in a similar situation?
I was, but I didn't have this kind of place
That's
to
what
go
I'm
to.
saying,
And I
yeah.
did take a couple lessons, and I just didn't like it. Like, I didn't mesh with the teacher. It just didn't work for me. So I'm self-taught. But a lot of people have done that situation. They walk in and then they kind of get scarred from it. They're like, I didn't like that at all. So then they quit playing and they take a different direction, which is awful because they could have been great, but they got burned by someone who just didn't
Right.
work well. So they just went on another path, So at least here I have a bunch of awesome instructors. Actually, not a bunch, a few awesome instructors.
Yeah.
So they can really, have fun with it and stick with it and be interested in it and want to come back and not being forced, like you're taking piano lessons today, And
Did you have a, obviously, well, for those that your brother,
Yep.
he's
Plays in
musician,
Mastodon, yep.
yeah. So, but were your parents like music pushy to you guys?
Zero, no, not at all. Like I started playing first, and then I'm the oldest, so Troy's in the middle, and I have a younger brother. So he would just listen to me playing, you know, Kiss and Aerosmith and Metallica through the walls. So he kind of, I didn't teach him. We didn't sit down. I was like, all right, this is how you do it. He just like learned and listened. Is like, yeah, I want to do that. Then I would leave, and he would go sneak in my room and take some records and pick up the bass and play some. And then, but my parents were obviously 1,000% supportive, you know, which is why we're still all doing it and still making a living.
What do they do, or what did they do?
My mom was always at home, like until we grew up. Like she's like, I'm not working, you know, I'm not putting you in daycare, I'm home. And then once we started to move out, then she started doing real estate, and that's what they're both doing as a team. And my dad is huge into sports memorabilia, so we kind of grew up running his baseball card shops and doing conventions and stuff. So he still does that stuff, mostly online, but he'll do a convention here and there.
Well, so they're open-minded parents. Had gigs that you know were not as maybe schedule heavy as some other people.
Correct.
You know, not
so
as stressful.
Didn't realize how fortunate we were, but looking back and how a lot of the horror stories people say when they were growing up trying to play, and their dad's like, "You're not playing that. You know, cut your hair, blah blah." So we got lucky, man.
Remember the first time you were on stage, and how many people were watching?
Yeah, well, there was a couple high school gigs, you know, like Battle of the Bands, which I thought was the coolest thing in the world. And then had a Six Flags gig one time.
Nice.
So I thought, all right, made it, buddy. Probably 30, you know, just play on one of those stages and people just walking by, and a couple cool people like, oh, awesome. And everybody else just walking by. And then
you didn't have the dreads then, though, did you?
Not at all. Yeah, always had long hair, but I just got tired of doing anything with it. It's like, what's some low maintenance I can do? It's like, boom.
So the high school stage, Battle of the Bands, Six Flags.
Yep.
I'm guessing Six Flags, Georgia.
Six Flags over Georgia.
And then what about your first touring gig?
First touring gig was, I played in a band called Screw out of Austin. It's like an industrial.
Hey, give us 30 seconds so we can thank some good people for making this happen. A big thanks to Jarrett with Oxendine Law Firm, oxlawfirm.com. What does Jarrett do? Well, Jarrett will take care of any divorce that you might be thinking about having. He handles divorces in the state of Georgia and especially the greater Atlanta area. oxlawfirm.com. Thanks, Jarrett. See, that wasn't bad. Now back to the Shoot to Grill podcast.
Did the record, and so we toured together. That's my first time going overseas. So then I was like, all right, this is cool.
It amazes me how ancestral the rock business is. It's like, I mean, I love the band Ugly Kid Joe.
Yeah.
You know, and when Godsmack, you know, first kind of popped in the early 2000s, and I'm doing rock radio and interviewing all these people, and I think it was like the first time I met Sully, I was on his tour bus, and that's how I had to do the interview. And Shannon was on there, and you know, word to the wise, lesson you learn when you're a young radio person, you never, ever interview two rock stars or more at the same time. They team up on you.
Good point.
It is horrible. They screw with you hard. I just had to learn that the hard way. And so they're kind of jerking me around, but I fired back, and it kind of won them over a little bit. And then we started talking about Ugly Kid Joe, and then Sully, a lot of times these lead singers would rather you talk to their people.
Right.
You know, like, here's a little useless trivia fact. I don't know, you might find it useless or useful. Bono and U2, if you go out to dinner with Bono and the band, you have to talk to the entire band. You cannot just directly ask Bono questions. I've heard. You know, so that's cool.
All right.
So that's kind of how I won the Sully and Shannon thing. But if you've been on Godsmack show and watched them do the drum off, oh my God.
Yep.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yep, they did it just the other night, or they're coming up soon or something, but seen it.
That's just so cool. And it's ancestral. You're playing with all these guys.
It totally is,
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I played with a lot of good, like looking back, I played with a lot of them. That's the main thing is amazing drummers, you know, with Roy and Shannon and Vinnie. You know, it's just, it's unbelievable.
Is there a, not saying that you would leave HELLYEAH for this, but just hypothetically speaking, are there lead singers or other drummers or guitarists, anything that you admire that you'd want to work with?
I'm sure there are, man. Like, I like Stefan and Deftones, you know. He's awesome, you know, it's just got cool heavy riffs. Me and my brother have always talked about doing like a double bass, because he plays bass, I play bass. We're like, God, he's like, why'd I play bass? We could have played guitar, we could have played together and then avoided a lot of crap along the way, you know, but no, we both had to play the same thing. And we've talked about doing something together, like a double bass project with, guitars and drums, but doing something like that. I think if we ever finally come around to doing that, it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And
what about lead singers?
singers,
They just like the sound, their voice, their tone, their
yeah,
lyrics.
well, I wish they were alive still. Like Lane Staley was one of my favorites.
Of course,
favorites, and I met him one time at the Point in Atlanta briefly, and I just think back to it, I was like, man, I wish I would have really got some more time with that guy, because he's just one of my favorites.
Those lyrics for a lot of those guys, just the public doesn't want to hear them now.
Right.
I'm saying, like, for a new band.
Right.
Like, you could not take the grunge movement in the 90s and put it into today and make it work.
Oh, yeah, no way.
Wouldn't happen.
Yep, no way.
It was right place, right time.
Yep.
I mean, that's right in our wheelhouse.
Yeah.
We were all pissed off with our parents
Exactly.
and the world, and like, okay, that's fine, I'll do plaid.
Music's all about timing too, man. There's been so many great bands that just get swept under the rug, and then now you can go back and discover them. It's like, how did I never hear about this? It's because they just were at the wrong time,
Wrong
ahead
place,
of your
wrong
time. Yeah, it's just wrong place, wrong time, or right place, right time.
Yeah, it's funny. You
crazy.
do listen to some bands, you're like, man, got it. They were just maybe 5 years later.
Yeah.
They would have totally popped.
Right. It's like, how did I miss this? Like, oh, because it was a label, whatever. Like, we're not pushing this, or radio didn't give them that little chance that all they needed, and then they didn't have enough steam or finances behind them to keep going, and then it just dissolves and goes away.
Well, I know Sheen's bringing us food over here in a second. Well, while he's doing that, one other thing I wanted to bring up with Vinnie is that when you guys were on the road and you were touring, I understand that he was a big grill guy.
Man, right when I walked up here, I was walking that way, I was like, he would love this so much. He would just love it, because we brought out like this flat top, but it was almost like half the size of this. Yeah. Like we had a trailer for grill stuff,
Did you?
Yeah, that flat top, and then we had like a deep fryer, which you do like low country boils and stuff. Like as much, like that was a cool thing about planning tours. It's like, yeah, it's great we're going back on tour, but then we start going down the list. Like, oh, this is a kick-ass place to barbecue, and we're off the next day, so it was already planned,
Yeah.
And once again, he would go out, the day before, day of, get up super early, go shopping. It's like,
By himself?
We're going to Sam. If you're up, it's like every day we're like, man, wake me up. I'll go with you. Don't go by yourself. But he has gone by himself. It's like if no one's up
That's
on the
cool.
spot, it's not waiting on you. It's like you got to be up like in the car.
Puts a cowboy hat on.
Puts it on, and then the sunglasses and goes, and he would never let anybody. It's like, let us put in our per diems or the buyouts, that you get for food a day, 20 whatever bucks. And he wouldn't take a dime. He's like, nope, I'm buying it all. Bought all the food, and it would feed, the entire band and crew, which was nothing. It's like, no, we're feeding the whole tour, which is every other band, every other crew. And then by the end of the night, when all the other, the staff is working and they don't get out of there to the last ones, everything, he'd invite the whole crew, the working staff, at the venue to come over here and eat, and they just be, because they work like 18 hours a day. They set up, load in, and last ones to leave. So he'd feed all of them and like give them everything. He's like, here, just take all this, take it all home.
And he's manning the grill.
And yes, it'd always be like, you're prepping, you're doing this, you're cutting the peppers, and then there's always, he's on the grill, and there'd be somebody who'd take over for a second while he went and grabbed a shot, come back real quick, and then do that.
So he would give everybody jobs.
Yeah.
And you
Usually the night before, it's like, well, I wake up, you're gonna start cutting peppers, you're gonna start chopping onions, you're gonna do this, and then you.
But that's the good stuff, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
It's cool.
That's like when I heard that he was. I didn't know all that stuff, but when I heard that he was, a big grill guy, and I was like, well, this is perfect. Kyle's really gonna enjoy this.
Yep.
Because I've seen the behind the scenes a lot of times of these festivals and stuff. But I've never seen anything like that. Because also, not only that, but you guys involve your fans in a lot of stuff. I mean, you're not one of those. You guys aren't one of those musicians that are above your fans. Vinny's bringing fans back to his house.
Totally. Yep. Like it was open door policy, and I was like kind of blown away. I was like, wow, there's not a lot of security here at your house. He lived like up a hill, like on a driveway, and there was a gate that was never closed.
Yeah.
It was like, damn, dude,
You got
it's
some
just,
records.
It's just
on those
open
walls
door,
here.
and people that did come in, they just because his house is just full of memorabilia. Like the very first Pantera check when they got paid, and just stuff where you're just staring around, looking at everywhere. It's just like a museum, which it always will be now.
But there's a certain code with certain genres of music, and in the heavy metal scene, no one's going to take Lemmy's cigarette.
Totally is, yeah. Right.
In LA, it's. You're not going to mess with that statue. I mean,
Right.
They don't even close it up.
Right.
At the Rainbow Room, they don't do that. So there's a certain level of respect.
There's a respect. Exactly right. Yep.
I mean, you could put Vinny's cowboy hat in the middle of the floor while you guys are on stage.
On stage, and there would be a clearing right around it. You know,
nobody would come close.
Right.
You know, and which kind of gives me goosebumps. I mean, that's this day and age. We need that.
We totally do.
I got your back type of.
That's
type
what
of
you
thing.
get at rock shows. You know, that
Totally.
you don't get anywhere else.
I agree with you.
You just don't.
All right, you ready?
Dude,
I'm ready.
Let's do this. All right, Sheed. That was quick, man.
that was.
Maybe the conversation was just so good.
It was a good convo. I was over there listening.
man.
And I was like, oh man, that's
This looks
kinda dope.
amazing.
I wish I would have left met Vinnie there.
So you were talking about, I wish you would have too. I'm telling you, he would love you in this setup, and that's the bottle I got in my fridge.
Wait, this is weird, but before you leave, could you sign my bottle?
Oh my God, this is amazing.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. So as
Well,
usual,
here.
while you chew,
Yeah.
I talk.
Yeah. Please. Go ahead.
Crispy
So,
ends, man.
Yeah.
We got something sweet. You got what you're seeing on the edges, what you guys probably catch on the grill cam, is the rub has a little bit of raw brown sugar in there as well.
You're gonna need this. Got a little kick.
It's got a little heat, but we like a little spice. And it's actually grounded, I'd say Mojo, because Mojo you do a lot of citrus like lemon, pineapple juice, lime, oranges. But I used a lot of the zest for the dry rub in it. That's how I got it in there. So that's what you're tasting. But there's just heat from the habanero carrot and the poblano rubbed in there. A little sweet, a little spicy. Get that tang from the pickles.
So marinated or not?
Slightly. Not these weren't marinated. This was
I
just
saw
a
that. I
rub.
was like, I didn't think so.
Straight dry rub with the little bit of really just a capful even of each.
So a lot of times when people are cooking chicken, I've heard that you should olive oil it on the out to keep the juices on the inside, because it's really easy to make that chicken go dry.
It is.
This is the stuff that.
The only sauce we have on here is ketchup. And believe it or not, I didn't know this. I just found out. I don't know why I'm surprised, but they have everything. This is actually Atlanta Grill Company ketchup. They make them themselves.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Neither did I. So this definitely seems to be a local. We got local sauce, local peppers,
Local ketchup.
What do you think, Kyle?
Amazing, man.
Isn't that great?
So what are you talking about when you said stacking? Stacking the chicken?
No, stacking the baffle deflector plates. So when we load your KJ up and you order it, you'll get a set of baffle plates in there that help deflect
There you
the
go,
heat.
brother.
There you
You
go.
need that. Here you want a little sip of that, a little kick. Go ahead, Sheet. Sorry, man.
And what that does is help spread the heat evenly so that you don't have an extremely hot zone directly under your meat.
Gotcha.
So I doubled up on that. So I had a
Gotcha.
sear side and one side that was going to be even cooler. And that's where I just rode those edges to get it nice and crispy and juicy. You take a bite and you can actually see the juices
Absolutely,
come
yeah.
out. And it's cooked all the way through there. Yeah, I wish we
Running
got to
down
get
my
like
arm,
a
man.
close-up camera. Can
know.
we get a grease cam? Can we
Yeah.
get like a greasy mouth camera?
The way that this is cooked, and the burn on the chicken,
Yeah.
like that's mirror. Before we went on, I was saying, like, you always want to cook, and I say this often on the show, is that you want to cook so when people leave your house, you go, dude, that's the best.
Yeah.
Everything that she cooks on this podcast, literally,
Is the best.
I walk away and I go, that's the best.
This very well may be the best chicken sandwich that I've ever had.
Don't
Isn't that
tell
crazy?
Chick-fil-A that.
I don't. Well, listen, you hear me?
They need to, I don't think you want to be hired, but they should probably take your recipes.
Yeah.
So, all right, look, new album comes out here when?
September 27.
Okay. And
Welcome home.
Welcome home. Probably heard the song.
I
the
hope
song.
so.
And the song took, I'm assuming, a different meaning too, because
Yeah.
if you watch the video,
Yeah.
it's even.
That was a rough one, man. That was a rough one to make. That's the first thing, the 333 video we did it in a bar called Duff's in Brooklyn. And it was
Lot
just
of pictures.
Killer bar, just killer everything. It was a good time because it was more of just a bunch of people packed in the bar. We were playing, they were going nuts. So we weren't really thinking about, it was, obviously he was missing, but it was just a lot going on. It was a good time. It was great. We were in and out. The Welcome Home was a more thought out, kind of heavy emotional kind of thing. So that was probably the hardest thing any of us had to do. And there was tears playing and going through it, and it was brutal.
Well, I've heard a few tracks off the album. I love you guys. You know that. I'm a fan.
Thank you.
You're a great dude. Thank you guys for watching. Again, the school, Let There Be Rock.
Let There Be Rock in
Yeah.
Gainesville, Georgia. Yep.
Yeah. So if you want to go and do that, your kid, whether he's 10
Bring it on.
or your husband that's 50, you're going to do that
And
as
I'll
well.
say it right here. I'll give you a free lesson.
Look
Come
at
in
that.
and take a free lesson. You don't like it? No hard feelings. You do, then join us.
I play a mean triangle.
Bring it on, man.
I'm with the Yamaha recorder. The Atlanta Grill Company here in Roswell, Atlanta Steak and Seafood. Terry, thanks for supplying the chicken and the
Thanks,
meats
Terry.
every week. Great graphics. Oxendine Law, oxlawfirm.com for all of your divorce needs here in the state of Georgia. Northside Tool Rental, the Humidor.com, cigars, buy them online, get great deals.
Nice.
And Bedlam Vodka, see I'm sporting the shirt because literally they are the best vodka that you can buy. Again, thanks for supporting the Shoot the Grill podcast. Thanks for supporting Hell Yeah. Thanks for supporting Sheed. And get his stuff on phillipsbarbecuecode.com. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Yeah.
Big thanks to Northside Tool Rental for sponsoring Shoot the Grill. Any and all of your tool rental needs with 5 Atlanta area locations. From chainsaws to track loaders to wood splitters, I've rented just about everything from Northside Tool Rental. Check them out online, northsidetoolrental.com. Thanks, guys.